Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Learning with Sadaf. Today we'll be covering a topic of microeconomics, which is externality, or more specifically production and externality. Externality is a microeconomic concept in which we talk about indirect cost or benefit to a third party that is not directly involved in the transaction process. Externality can also be related to consumption, and it can also be related to production side, and it can also have a positive and negative effect. So positive effect here would mean that it will have a benefit, negative effect here would mean that it's related to cost. So in this case, we are specifically talking about supply side externality and how different producers can have externality upon consumers or on their counterparts. So in this case, this is the example we're going to look at. Consider an economy with two firms producing two different goods, and there's only a single consumer in this, and the consumer also provides labor in that particular economy. Firm 1 is a sawmill producer, and Firm 2 here is a fish farm producer, or they produces fish. Production function of Firm 1 here is x1 with the power of 1 over 2, or I can also write it down as square root of x1. And production function of second firm is 2 times x1 with the power of 1 over 2. I can also write it down as 2 times x1. Okay. The consumer consumes both goods, the wooden boards, as well as trout fish in that case. Utility function here goes like this. Utility function is the multiplicative form of consumption of good 1 and consumption of good 2. It's C1 and C2, which was just multiplicative form of these two. And the condition here is the utility of both of these goods need to be greater than 0, and it needs to be increasing consumption function like this. And the total labor here is sum of x1 and x2. Okay. So the first question of interest here is we are supposed to draw Firm 1's production function. We have to find its marginal productivity, and we have to show its production function is concave. We'll get back to this first part once we declare that whether it's a concave or a convex function. So the first thing here is to find marginal productivity of this one. From the name marginal productivity, marginal here means additional, productivity here means production. So how much more y will produce when 1 unit of x1 will increase, more precisely y1, when 1 unit of x1 increases. Okay, so that's what marginal productivity means. So in that case, because we have a function, in order to find marginal productivity, all we need to do is take its first order condition with respect to x1. That will give us marginal productivity. The production function for y1 here, or Firm 1 here, is x1 with the power of 1 over 2, or x1 with the power of square root. It's easier if we go with x1. We need to take its derivative with respect to x1. Using the formula or the basic intuition behind this derivative, we need to first take power out, 1 over 2, and do 1 over 2, 1 minus 1 over 2. That will give me 1 over 2 x1 with the power of minus 1 over 2. I can also rewrite it down as x1 with the power of positive 1 over 2, and we also know that 1 over 2 also means that it is square root of x1. This is the marginal productivity of Firm 1, which will bring us to that it is 1 over 2 multiplied with the square root of x1. That answers first part or second part of this question. Second part of this question was, or last part of this question was, show that its production function is concave. Second order derivative of any function can determine whether it's convex or concave. Second order derivative of a function, if it turns out to be positive, then function is called as convex function. And if it is negative, it is called as concave function. So in order to prove that this form has convex or concave function, we have to take its second derivative. Second derivative, we've already taken first derivative. First derivative is always equal to 0. Now all we need to do is take its second derivative like this of this function in order to see whether it turns out to be positive or not. It's again easier if I deal it with this term and then take its derivative with respect to x1. In that case, I'm gonna bring x1 in numerator, change its sign to minus 1 over 2, and now I can further solve it. So it's minus 1 over 2. First bring minus 1 over 2 outside. Like this in multiplicative form, there is already 1 over 2 over here. That doing this, it's gonna be 1, and it will be minus 1 over 2. We'll multiply together, it will be minus 1 over 4, and this here will be minus 3 over 2. And again, for the sake of simplicity, I can bring x downstairs, write it down as 3 over 2, and I can further simplify it because there is 3, it's 3 over 2, or it's 1 over 2 with the power of 3. I can also write it down as x cube with the power of square root. But the main thing here was this negative sign. This negative sign indicates that the production function or form 1 has concave production function. And this negative sign, and now this will also help us locate the figure of this function as well, concave production function. So going back to the first part of this question, which was the draw form 1's production function. Now we know that it's going to be concave. We know how it's going to look like. So I can draw x1 over here, y over here. Concave function always goes like this, and it has diminishing returns to scale after some time. So the more x is used, the more y will be, but after some time, it's going to have diminishing returns to scale. That brings us to the end of this question 1. We'll get back to question 2 in our next video. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any question, you can write down in the comment and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you very much.